Hey guys, what's up? This is What the Tech, and I know this video is a bit later than usual, but I was on vacation, so that's what's up. Alright, so let's take the deep dive here. WWDC was just a while ago, I think a week and a half, and I'm pretty happy to say this, but I was wrong. In my last video, I made a prediction that the iPhone SE2 was going to come out or be unveiled on WWDC, but I'm pretty happy to say, and I'm pretty sure Apple's happy to say, that it was just all software. And that's a good thing too. WWDC should really just all be about the software, especially coming out of Google's I/O, which I think is more effective and also pretty cool for the enthusiast crowd because it shows where Google wants to head with its software in terms of Chrome, artificial intelligence, Android, and the Internet of Things. So with that in mind and having no hardware announcements at all, Apple is able to show off what they think the future is of consumer tech moving forward. Chances are, if you're an enthusiast or you just really like tech like me, and you really enjoyed this WWDC. Let's check out the 4 ways that WWDC changes about our iPhones and our iPads moving forward. So one of the biggest expectations and announcements that really doesn't come as a surprise every single year is the teaser for the next version of iOS. This year we had iOS 11 and now we're moving to iOS 12. And one of the things that Apple really had to pick up the slack for was how buggy iOS 11 was. To my memory, this is the first iOS that I really couldn't recommend people to update right away. Because when I updated from 10 to 11, my phone was bricked. And every single update since then, there was always some kind of bug that if it didn't affect me, it affected someone I knew. And because there are so many bugs, Apple had to spend so much time ironing out details and fixing issues that features that we were pretty excited for, like AirPlay 2 and iMessage in the cloud, had to be pushed aside for later, just so Apple can fix things. So something that Apple mentioned was that iOS 12 is going to be on the largest install base of iOS devices ever in Apple's history. And that's pretty important since some of the oldest hardware is going to date back at least 5 years. Some of the ways that Apple plans on speeding things up is how the CPU ramp speeds are done, to quicker animations. Apple on stage showed off that an iPhone 6s Plus was able to get 40% faster app load times, 50% faster keyboard pop-up times, and 70% quicker camera shifts or summons. And if you guys had an older iPhone, you guys would know that one of the things that people get pretty pissed off about is when you're trying to text something and then the keyboard takes a while to load. Hopefully this can help rebuild some trust between consumers and Apple, especially coming out of the whole Batterygate situation. Next is the tech and life balance. There has been a pressing call from activists and legislators trying to get Apple and Google to implement something in their software in order to help combat the addictive natures of their phones. Now personally, I don't think it's Apple or Google's responsibility to find solutions to this, well, personal problem, but I get the argument. It's a brave new world, and these devices are now being handed to children at a young age that could create an unhealthy behavior. App developers know the secrets of how to grab our attention. So Apple took the proactive approach and unveiled weekly reports to show deep information and summaries on how you're using your phone per hour, which apps are sending the most notifications, and time spent per app. With this new information, you can make decisions on changing your habits, and also there's a new feature that allows you to limit just how much time you spend on an app. And iOS will tell you once you reach the time limit. You can snooze it like a regular alarm clock, but it'll be back to bug you. It also syncs across your Apple devices, so it's a collection of all time spent. Real world wise, I don't really know if it'll help a lot of people. I don't know if it'll help me, but one of the interesting things was even Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, was surprised by his report. He believed that he was more disciplined than others, but it turns out he was just as addicted as everyone else.
I've been using it, and I have to tell you, I thought I was fairly disciplined about this, and I was wrong. When I began to get the data, I found I was spending a lot more time than I should.
Alright, so up next is notifications, how it's handled in iOS 12. I'm not going to be going too much into weeds about this because there's a lot of videos about this subject on YouTube already. Is that Apple's finally giving up on trying to keep notifications simple, and instead, they're okay with making it a little more complicated. There are going to be some new pretty advanced setting options where you can send notifications from an app straight into the lock screen and have certain ones that you believe are important prioritized and sent straight to you as a new push mechanism. At one point in time, notifications used to be pretty important, where you'd only get the most important things that you consented to. But nowadays, app developers are trying to convince you that everything's important because they always want to get you back into their application. Okay, so last notes on this, The Verge actually made a really cool and informative video about this that I really did like, so I'm gonna drop it down in the comments. Alright, so one of the definitive ways that Apple defined its future and separated itself from everyone else was a doubling down on augmented reality. The two biggest takeaways from their AR push is that Apple partnered with Pixar to develop a new file format called USDZ. It stands for Universal Scene Description Zipped, which allows for AR content to be easily shared between Messages, Mail, the Files app, and Safari. bringing shareable AR to the majority of users. Also, ARKit 2 is an improvement on Apple's AR platform, which allows for more realistic rendering and, more importantly, the ability for 2 or more people to share AR experiences together. So that means games. That's 2 people seeing the same thing on different devices. Oh, and also Apple made a whole new first-party app called Measures, which allows you to measure things.
It's a measurement. Now, what's really cool is I can extend these measurements. So I can just tap, drag along another edge just like that, and even take it to full 3D, dragging down to the bottom like that. Isn't that cool?
All right, so those are the 4 things I really wanted to share about because those are the things I found were the coolest, weren't entirely done to death, and also something that I could share a little insight on. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that group FaceTime calls are finally a thing now. I personally have a lot of friends that have iPhones and Apple devices, so we can finally game together using FaceTime audio, which is a blessing. Comment what you guys are excited about on iOS 12. Personally, like I said earlier, group FaceTime. All right, thanks for watching What the Tech. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to give a thumbs up. If you want to see more stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe. See ya.